Welcome to Everything's Not Black and White with your hosts, Lala and Brian.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode. We are so fortunate to have an amazing young woman here in the studio with us today, Ms. Shanon Phillips. And this lovely lady, I've had the privilege of knowing probably, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. I don't even know. It's been a long time now.
Long time.
It's been a long time now.
And I've had the privilege of knowing her for 6 or 7 minutes. So it has been fascinating.
It's been so fun. So Shanon and I met at Cardinal Health, when I was working there, and she is still there, literally making all the difference in the world. She is a consultant right now on the learning development and delivery team. She's responsible for new hire orientation. If y'all know me, y'all know that's my jam. I love me some new hire orientation. And she's been working with the talent acquisition team, talent management. She does all the things. She's a coach and a mentor herself. She knows how to do strengths finders, Hogan's, 360. I mean, you name it, she got it. And she's also certified, honey. Yes, she is, with the SHRM, the Society of Human Resources Management, honey, doing the thing. She's been in so many clubs and organizations. She volunteers at her church. It's all about serving and being passionate about spreading the message that you are enough, honey. Yes. So we're going to take it to the whole nother level with Miss Shanon today. You're going to learn how you're enough, and you're going to learn how she is changing the world. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Shanon Phillips to the Everything's Not Black and White podcast.
Thank you so much, La and Brian. You are so sweet.
It's quite the introduction.
It is. I'm like, I feel official.
Girl, you are everything. You already know. Yes. So I just literally, I can sing your praises all day long. I remember when we first met and you were like, hey, I want to talk to you. I'm growing myself. I need you to be my mentor. And as much as I was your mentor, I was also your mentee. You taught me so much. You still do. You're such an exceptional human being. You're very compassionate and driven, and you care about people. And that's something that's incredibly attractive about you, and it's something that always drew me to you. So I want you to talk to folks a little bit, like, what is that burning desire in you to be the person you need to be to help people? Like, what is driving that for you?
Yeah, so great question, La. This stemmed from just an early age, growing up and watching my mother and how she cared for people, whether it's financial, whether it's through prayer, whether it's just serving in the church, being out in the community. And so I saw that at a very young age, just the passion and enthusiasm that she had for it. And I was always along for the ride, but not just along for the ride, but participating as well. And so seeing just the benefit and how it felt good to serve. And, she always said, God has gifted us, and in our response to it is to give back to others, to be there for others, and we have to do that out of our abundance. And so it was always come from a place of wanting to better someone else's day, whether it's just them smiling, whether it's through a hug, whether that's through a touch. So that's always just been my motivation, because people are going through so much, and especially in these last couple of years, have been going through so much, and so they just need that light. They need that positive influence. It just has been a natural thing for me growing up.
Yeah, you do an amazing job with it too. But I know, people could be sitting around saying, I would love to be able to do that, but I have so many other problems and challenges of my own that I don't feel like I have enough energy to give to somebody else. Like, what would you say to those folks? What kind of advice would you give them?
Yeah, I would say it's all about perspective, because when you focus on your issues, they become bigger. But when you come from a place of gratitude, and I really have been practicing this, but even more intentional over the last couple years of being grateful. And so when you come from a place of gratitude, it doesn't dilute your situation, but it helps you to focus on what's truly important, the breath that you have in your body, what you do have, how you can give to others. And so that change in perspective definitely helps you to refocus and understand your purpose and your position in life. So I would definitely say start by every day saying one thing, even if it's just say, I'm alive today. I'm alive today. Start there. And then I guarantee as you begin to focus on that, you will get more things that you are grateful for.
Yeah. So I love that you said, initially that you were watching your mom and being involved with your mom early on and watching how she reacted and responded to people, and you started doing that same thing. Has there ever been a time that you felt like, oh, this person is just too difficult for me to give my best to? Like what do you do in those situations? Because I know a lot of people have said that, oh, honey, I can be nice to that one, but not that one over there, honey. So what do you do? How do you handle that?
Yes. So how do you go through a difficult person that just, the more you smile at them, the more they grin, they frown at you. So I've had certain situations like that, and I try to get creative. I really do, because at the end of the day, there is a goal, whether it's a work goal, a personal goal, something that you do share. So trying to understand who they are. So for instance, I remember this person at work. We clashed. And I don't know if it was a generational thing or it was a black woman and a black woman. And I don't know what was going on with that situation, honestly. But what I knew was going on in her life, because she began to share, was her mother was having some illnesses. She was in the process of moving. Her son was moving to a different state. All of these things that was happening in her world, in which she kind of lashed out, And so by understanding that person and what they're going through, I was able to then, talk to her and say, well, how's your mom doing? Reframe things. How's your mom doing? How was the move for your son? And she started lighting up when I was able to talk to her beyond the work. And so again, one of my positions and how I build relationships is, who are you beyond the work? Because where's your true excitement lie? Where's that true energy? And when I can get us to talk about that, when I can get you to open up about that, that can, change the trajectory of that relationship for the better. So that's one of the things that I do, try to get to know that person beyond the work.
I love that you actually said that, because one of the philosophies we've been talking about a lot over the last, year and a half is how work and personal life kind of meshes now, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've been in this quarantine and doing this COVID thing where we've been working from home. People see your dirty laundry, people see your dogs, people see your spouses or your partners,
Mm-hmm.
so you can't separate personal and professional anymore. They're all blended together. So what kind of advice or what would you say to coworkers or even leaders in an organization who still say, well, you got to leave your baggage at the door. You can't be bringing your personal stuff to work?
We actually never was able to do that. This whole buzzword of bring 100% of yourself to work. My personal thing is, I don't know about 100%, maybe a good 90 on a good day. Honestly, what I would advise people is that that's not being authentic. You can't cut off yourself or part of yourself to enter into a space and be expected to give your best. I know that managers and leaders are being more cognizant of that, but it's to care for the individual, because at the end of the day, if your goal and your competitive advantage is your people, then you have to take all of your people, the good, the bad, the ugly. And when people truly see there is a care and an empathy there, then that's when that disposable and that discretionary effort really comes into play that employees are really seeking from people. So I could definitely say, just from my experience being at my current employer, I would definitely say that I've seen that happen. I've seen managers take time to ask you, how are you doing? And I mean, literally, they emphasize you. And I was like, wait, you're asking about me before we get into the work? Like, this is different. But we gained a deeper understanding of each other because they were focused on you before the work.
I love that. And you meet somebody where they are, and you help them get to where they want to go and where you need them to go. So I love that. And that kind of is a perfect little segue into the Power Seeds and what you've been doing with that. So let's tell our listeners a little bit about Power Seeds.
Ooh, where do I begin? So I was thinking about this because it was a lot that went into the making of Power Seeds. When I think about it, really was out of obedience. I go back to the story of Jonah in the Bible, and Jonah was like, nah, God, I'm going to do my own thing. And he sent that well, like, you're going to do what I called you to do. And so I think for me, it was really out of obedience because I was kind of telling God, like, no, I'm good being in the background. I could do these Truthful Tuesday videos on Instagram, and that's all I need. Like, that's it. And, you know, people along the way was like, are you going to try to do YouTube? Are you going to? I'm like, no, Instagram is where it's at, is where it's going to be. It was a lot of different stories along the way that really prompted me to say, okay, Lord, I'm all in now. One prominent one happened in 2019 into 2020, in which I was taking down my braids. I wear a lot of like natural styles and braids and everything, protective styles. I was taking down my braids one day and saw a bald spot, like clear bald, no hair in this bald spot. And it shocked me because I never experienced that before. So fast forward, I saw a dermatologist and we were trying to figure out what was going on. And all I can think of, it was stress. It was stress. And so in that reflection period of time, I was like, how did I get to this point where it has manifested to losing hair and skin bald? After that, I was like, oh, something has to change because I've lost myself in this work. I lost myself in relationships. I lost myself in life where stress has overtaken me. And so that was an incident that really pushed this. And then I said, you know, I'm going to take time for myself. I'm going to really be intentional about it. So one of the things I said I was going to do was take a quarterly personal retreat. And so I took one back in December of 2020. And I was in Lancaster and I was by myself. I was scared as heck. I was in an Airbnb in somebody's basement. And I was like, Ma, Tia, like I was telling my mom and my sister, I was like, I'm going in the country, but I'm going to call you, but I'm going to, you know, call once a day. But anyway, no distractions beyond that. And it was just an amazing 48 hours where I focused on my passion project. So I outlined for a book and the podcast. And so the name Power Seeds actually came to me months ago when I was laying down. And it just said Power Seeds. And I'm like, okay, nothing to it. Put it in my phone memo. But then when I was at my retreat, I was like, let me look at Power Seeds and what does it mean? And so I Googled it and I was like, oh, it's sunflower seeds, flax seeds. Oh, it's nutrient booster body. I'm like, all right, no one has this podcast name. We're good to go. So then I was like, how do I turn this into what I'm really trying to do? And it was like, you've been saying Power Seeds all along. You've been saying those inspirational messages and words through those Truthful Tuesdays. It's transferring to your podcast, you know. And so when you think about inspirational words, they do enter your mind, enter your body. They take root in you. And then it's up to you, you know, if they blossom and grow with change perspective, change behavior. So again, that's the bulk of Power Seeds podcast. And I have one more story I was going to share. So when it launched in March of 2021, I was also listening to some Clubhouse rooms, and one was an affirmation group for women in the mornings. And so I was listening to those, and the lady had called me on stage one time, and I was like, nope, not doing that. And so the next time I raised my hand and you were to give our like reflection and our affirmation, and I said, if you don't use your voice, you're going to lose your voice. And it came to me because at that time my voice was going in and out. I don't know what was going on, but weeks it was on, weeks it was like losing. And it was really God solidifying this podcast and saying, you have to continue to use your voice, Shannon, because you're going to lose it. You have a gift, continue to share it. So that's the long story of Power Seeds, but what led me to it.
So my baldness breaks down to me being stressed? Is that what it all boils down to?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. Because I don't see no hair at the top of your head.
I mean,
I need some Power Seeds up there,
He's
right?
been married to me for 13 years. Yes, it's stress. Yes, I can concur. It is 100% stress.
That's a great story, though. Thanks for sharing it.
I love
Thank
that.
you.
You know, and you are so inspirational. And I really appreciate that about you. I can tell you all, I've never seen Shannon without a smile. Like, I literally have never seen her without this beautiful, gorgeous smile that she has. And it does light up the room and light up for people who are around her. And so it's been really exceptional to watch her grow and come into herself and to walk with such confidence, but it's also quiet confidence and compassion. So she's unassuming. She's very like so graceful and amazing. but what she has to say is absolutely powerful. So I think Power Seeds is a beautiful name for all of your endeavors. The soon-to-be book, yes.
Yes.
And the podcast, yes. So it's all beautiful stuff.
Thank you.
So what is on the horizon for you, Shanon? What are you thinking about? What's next? What's projects are going on? What events? You talked about self-care a little bit more. So I want you to dig in a little bit more into that too, because I know that's been a hot and heavy topic especially for Black women. We talk about rest and Black resistance as joy, and laughter, as you and I talked about on one of the Power Seed episodes. Like talk to us a little bit about the importance of self-care and then what you have going on next.
Yeah, so self-care is so important, and I think it really was brought to life over the last couple years. What was also brought to life was the myths about self-care, because it was always been kind of looked at, and I even did a Google search, and it was a lot of yoga and spa days and massages and things like that I Googled, and I'm like, this is what people think of when they think about self-care. But self-care is whatever you need in the season of life to make sure that you are thriving and being the most healthiest you can be. That looks a variety of different ways, and that's the beauty of self-care, because it's not defined in one particular way. And so that's where the basis of the podcast reflects all the holistic ways you can look at self-care, whether that's mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially. It's all interconnected. And so self-care is really important because, again, it's not in a one event and you're done. It's an everyday challenge. It's an everyday opportunity to be, to know who you are and what you need during that time.
I love it. That's perfect. I love that. As the listeners are listening, we have this wonderful candle that's in our studio right now. And so aromatherapy, that's one way I love self-care, because it always just like the senses, just making me feel better when I smell good things. I'm sorry, I'm just taking a moment right now, y'all. Taking a moment.
This candle do smell good.
So what is next for you, Shanon? What big projects, excitement going on with you right now? What's happening?
Yes. So right now I'm in, I would say, a life transition, and I don't know what's on the other side necessarily, but I'm just walking by faith at this point. Definitely, I dropped the outline of the book, but definitely that will be something that I start picking back up over the next couple months, because it is something that needs to get out there to the world. And so I was telling God, one step at a time, Lord, because I got to make sure this podcast is right. But that's on the horizon. Other things too is, I want to definitely get more involved in coaching, because I do that as a part, not necessarily as a part of my role, but I also do it just because I'm passionate about coaching to different assessments and getting to know people. So I definitely want to take that to increase who I'm reaching out to and connecting with. And then also just finding some organizations where I can dedicate a little bit more of my time to, voluntary wise. So that is kind of what's on the horizon for me. Just all good things of who I am, with service, with getting to know and creating deeper connections with people. And then hopefully some travel is in there. So yes. Hopefully you might find me somewhere relaxing on the beach somewhere, or traveling to a new country. So
that's my self-care.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. It's part of the self-care package.
Oh,
there.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure. So if folks want to get in touch with you, Shanon, what is the best way they can do that?
Yes. So the podcast does have an IG page. It has its own IG page. It's Power Seeds Podcast on IG. Also, if you want to send an email, if you're old school, like I am, you can send me an email at hello@powerseedspodcast.com. And I do also have my personal page that I open up sometimes, and it is Misdetermined. And I will let them put it in the chat because it's spelled a little bit differently, but I have that on Instagram as well.
That is awesome. And you all definitely subscribe, like, and share Power Seeds Podcast. We will attach it to our podcast so you can listen to all the wonderful guests that Shanon already has on. And we will be on the lookout for that bestseller when it's done. We name it and claim it, honey.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yes.
With both of you releasing books, let's just not do it at the same time, because I can't be cheerleading too much for one or the other now.
Exactly. That is awesome.
Yes.
Well, Shanon, we appreciate you so much for bringing your effervescent personality to the Everything's Not Black and White podcast and for sharing all the beautiful things that you're doing to celebrate and lift people up. So thank you.
Thank you so much, La. And I'm going to turn this back over because I just want to express definitely my gratitude for La and her place in my life. It has been life-changing. And I'm not trying to get her to cry right now. That's not the goal.
She knows I'm a waterworks person. She knows I'm waterworks.
That's not the goal. But really just, I've always been taught give flowers where they're due. And so I appreciate wholeheartedly your personality and how it was oftentimes at work where I wanted to break down. I wanted to leave work. And your passion, your enthusiasm, your hug, your smile literally lift my spirits that day, and I was able to get through the rest of the day. So I just appreciate you being like that ram in a bush when I needed it, and also being just a supporter along the way for the many years that we've been knowing each other. So thank you so much for being you.
You've been really inspiring today, and we're really glad to have you here.
Thank you, Brian.
Very, very welcome. Brian, how can they get in touch with us?
Absolutely. You can reach us at embwpodcast@gmail.com.
And we're also on Facebook at Everything Is Not Black and White, the page. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Shanon, thank you again for blessing us with your wisdom. And we will see y'all next time. See you later.
See ya.
Thanks. Bye.